Discourse analysis, we start with the definition of the term discourse analysis. Discourse analysis is a broad and complex interdisciplinary field. It is very broad, very wide, and very complex field which is related to many subfields. It includes somewhat diverse theoretical and methodological approaches from linguistics, anthropology, and sociology. All the approaches to discourse share a commitment to studying language in context. This is the yardstick. The most important idea to understand here is that discourse analysis has a commitment to studying language in context, in the social context in which it occurs. So discourse analysis is concerned with the relationship between language and the context in which it is used. It studies the relationship between language on one hand and the context in which that language is used. It grew out of work in different disciplines in 1960s and early 1970s, including linguistics, semiotics, study of signs and symbols, psychology, anthropology, and sociology. Discourse analysts study language in use, written text of all kinds, and spoken data, both written and spoken text or data, from conversational to highly institutionalized forms of talks, all studied in discourse analysis. Discourse, a general term, for example, of language used, that is, language which has been produced as the result of an act of communication, whereas grammar refers to the rules a language uses to form grammatical units such as clause, phrase, and sentence. Discourse refers to larger units of language such as paragraphs, conversations, and interviews. So this is the difference between discourse and grammar. Grammar focuses on sentence and smaller units, words, phrases, clauses, and discourse focuses on larger units, starting from paragraph and onward. In linguistics, a unit, the discourse refers to a unit or piece of connected speech or writing that's longer than a conventional sentence. Any unit of language, spoken or written, larger than sentence, come under the term discourse. Discourse analysis is the study of how sentences in spoken and written language form larger meaningful units such as paragraphs, conversations, interviews, etc. For example, discourse analysis deals with, number one, how the choice of articles, of pronouns, and tenses affect the structure of the discourse. How our selection or choice of particular articles, particular pronouns, particular tenses affects the structure of the discourse overall piece of language. Two, the relationship between utterances in a discourse, spoken utterances. Three, the moves made by speakers to introduce a new topic, to change the topic, or to assert a higher role relationship between other participants. All these three areas are studied by discourse analysis. Analysis of spoken discourse is sometimes called conversational analysis. Some linguists use the term text linguistics for the study of written discourse to differentiate it from discourse. But in this, for the sake of our course, both refer to the same thing, discourse analysis. Discourse analysis in linguistics analysis is linguistic analysis of naturally occurring connected speech or written discourse. It is also concerned with language use in social context, and in particular with interaction or dialogue between speakers. While text linguistics as the term, it refers to linguistic analysis and description of extended text, either written or spoken. Either written or spoken. Both are called text and linguistic. Also known as written discourse analysis, seeks to analyze text beyond the level of sentence, typically, but not necessarily in their situational context. It tends to focus on the patterns of how information flows within and among sentences by looking at aspects of text like coherence, like cohesion, the distribution of topics and comments, and other discourse structures. Coherence refers to the unity created by linking the ideas together. Cohesion, unity created by formal links, formal connectors. Much like syntax is concerned with the structure of sentences, syntax is the study of the structure of sentences. Text linguistics is concerned with the structure of text, larger units of language. Now we move to a brief historical overview of discourse analysis. At a time when linguistics was largely concerned with the analysis of single sentences, in 1952, Zelig Harris, a linguist called Zelig Harris, published a paper with the title Discourse Analysis. Harris was interested in the distribution of linguistic elements in extended text and links between the text and its social situation. Zelig Harris was an American linguist. He was born in 1909 and died in 1992. According to him, discourse analysis is the method for the analysis of connected speech or writing for continuing descriptive linguistics beyond the limit of a simple sentence at a time. Discourse to Harris stretches longer than one utterance. It's often referred to as the discourse. Any longer stretch of language, longer than an utterance or the sentence, is discourse. In 1960s, Del Hyams provided a sociological perspective with the study of speech in its social setting. The linguistic philosophers such as Austin, 1962, Sear, 1969, and Grice, 1975, were influential in the study of language as a social action. Language as a social action, social phenomenon. Del Hathaway Hyams was a linguist, a social linguist, an anthropologist, and a folklorist. He established disciplinary foundations for the comparative ethnographic study of language use. He was born in 1927 and died in 2009. John L. Austin was a British philosopher, first introduced speech act theory in his book How to Do Things with Words. How to Do Things with Words. This is a type of speech in which a person words are causing something to happen and not just making a statement. I repeat, How to Do Things with Words is the title of his book. It means this refers to a type of speech in which a person's words are causing something to happen and not just making a statement, not just theory. John Roger Sear is an American philosopher born in 1932 who further advanced the idea and research of speech-act theory. Speech-act theory. We shall analyze it, inshallah. Herbert Paul Grice was born in 1913 and died in 1988. He was a British philosopher of language who created the theory of implicature and the cooperative principle. They were also influential in the study of language as social action, reflected in speech-act theory and the formulation of conversational maxims, alongside the emergence of pragmatics, which is the study of meaning in context. Pragmatics is the study of meaning in context, in contrast to semantics, which is the study of meaning in language. British discourse analysis was greatly influenced by M.A.K. Halliday. Function approach. His functional approach to language, which in turn has connection with the Prague School of Linguistics. Michael Halliday was born in 1925 and died in 2018. He was a British linguist who developed the systemic functional linguistics. Halliday's framework emphasizes the social functions of language and the thematic and informational structure of speech and writing. Also important in British were Sinclair and Coulthard in 1975 at the University of Birmingham, who developed a model for the description of teacher-pupil talk based upon the hierarchy of discourse units. Other similar work has dealt with doctor-patient interaction, service encounters, interviews, debates, and business negotiation, as well as monologues. Novel work in the British tradition has also been done on intonation in discourse. The British work has principally followed structural linguistic criteria on the basis of the isolation of units and sets of rules defining well-formed and sequences of discourse. American discourse analysis, on the other hand, has been dominated by work within the ethnomethodological tradition, which emphasizes the research method of the close observation of groups of people communicating in natural setting. I repeat, American discourse analysis has been dominated by work within the ethnomethodological tradition, which emphasizes the research method of the close observation of groups of people communicating in natural setting. It examines types of speech events such as storytelling, greeting, rituals, and verbal duels in different cultural and social settings. What is often called conversation analysis within the American tradition can also be included under the general heading of discourse analysis. In conversation analysis, the emphasis is not upon building structural models, but on the close observation of behavior of participants in talk and patterns which recur over a wide range of natural data. The work of Kaufman in 1976 and 1979, and Sachs, Sokolov, and Jefferson, 1978, is important in the study of conversational norms, turn-taking, and other aspects of spoken interaction. Also working within the sociolinguistic tradition, Labov investigation of oral storytelling have contributed to a long history of interest in narrative discourse. The American work has produced a larger number of descriptions of discourse types, as well as insights into the social constraints of politeness, and face-preserving phenomena in talk, overlapping with British work in pragmatics. Also relevant to the development of social discourse analysis as a whole is the work of text grammarians, working mostly within written language. Text grammarians see text as language elements strung together in relation with one another that can be defined. Linguists such as Van Dyck, 1972, Dupont-Grant, 1980, Halliday, and Hassan, 1976, have made a significant impact in this area. The Prague School of Linguistics, with their interest in structuring of information discourse, has also been influential links between grammar and discourse. Discourse analysis has grown into a wide range and heterogeneous discipline which finds its unity in the description of language above the sentence and interest in the context and cultural influences which affect language in use. It is also now increasingly forming a background to research in applied linguistics and second language learning and teaching in particular. Now we move on to the scope of discourse analysis, the area that covered by discourse analysis. Discourse analysis is not only concerned with the description and analysis of spoken interpretation. In addition to all our verbal encounters, we daily consume hundreds of written and printed words, newspaper articles, letters, story, recipes, instructions, notices, comics, billboards, leaflets, etc. We usually expect them to be coherent, meaningful communications in which the words and/or sentences are linked to one another in a fashion that corresponds to conversational formulae, just as we do with the speech. Therefore, discourse analysts are usually interested in the organization of written interaction. In this course, we shall use the term discourse analysis to cover the study of spoken and written interaction. Our ultimate aim is to come to a much better understanding of exact how natural spoken and written discourse looks and sounds. This may well be different from what textbook writers and teachers have assumed from their own intuition, which is often burdened with the prejudices derived from tradition, grammar, vocabulary, and intonation teaching. With more accurate picture of natural discourse, we are in a better position to evaluate the description upon which we base our teaching, the teaching materials, what goes on in the classroom, and the end products of our teaching, whether in the form of spoken or written output. With that, we come to the end of this lecture. Thank you.